This is the in-depth, in-detail section walk for you. We started section number 1 today, and to be honest, I expected the sections to be all man-made, like indoor style sections, but this here looks really natural. It doesn't look really nice to ride, but at least it's natural. Big rocks, big steps, and let's have a look at the start of the section. The first thing I've seen here was the red line, because it's really not nice to look at, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be nice to ride. Maybe, yeah, this is where my imagination ends, or it is just difficult. I would go over the big rock and then try to lift the back wheel over the hole up there. We will see it better from the side, but it's all angled. Also where you land on is angled, and there's a big rock, a big hole in the rocks, which is the worst case scenario. Obviously we don't talk about it. Blue line, tricky, not super dangerous, not very dangerous. Nice section to start with maybe. Definitely have to be on it. Timing needs to be right. In these kind of rocks, the line needs to be right. But I think when you come here and you are afraid of indoor sections, this will ease you up a little bit, and yeah, maybe lets you get into the trial more relaxed. And for sure this is a nice natural section without big steps so far. Things to ride. Let's go to the next turn. This is the hole. This is the red line over there. It's all angled, you know, so you need to be quick. Yeah, we didn't talk about the green line. It goes here on the bottom rocks, and I think for them they are really good riders, especially in these small technical sections. That's where they are really good at, and I think that's gonna be not very difficult for them. Okay to ride, which is good, because the young riders are obviously the most nervous ones at section number 1, so maybe the section builders had that in mind when they built the beginning of the green line here in this section. And it will get tricky in this turn here for sure. So blue and red line will come down here. They will probably go all the way down. So this is going to be the step for the blue line. I think it's quite doable, because there is some space behind that step. You have a kicker here to set off to. You just need to hit that line on the left. I'm not sure. Yeah, they will probably get away with going down here and then maneuver themselves out of the rocks again, but for sure it would be better to stay on left and have a direct line to that turn. Red line goes here on the outside, and this is a nice step. Here we have it. Drops down a little bit and then goes onto this massive rock. Yeah, I think they're going to be slow here and jump from off the back wheel onto the step. They will probably make it look easy, but it's a really impressive obstacle, and I'm looking forward to see them ride over this big rock. Then they come down here, go around the big rock on the outside, Jordi Pasquet. We are at the finish line, so they go around there, come down the hill, and this is where the end of section number 1 is going to be. Section 2. Yeah, first thing we see is a nasty step for the red line. I mean, this is like 1.70 meters, I would say, 65 this rock, but it's narrow, so I'm sure they will jump from here and might clean this a little bit. So I think it's gonna be doable, but yeah, I mean, when you look at it, it's just nice. Coming down here, and there's a nice obstacle for the blue one. Looks cool. I would have definitely put that in the section as well. I don't think it's too super difficult. You probably want to ride up here where that line is, or here right on the rock, to have the longest run up for that jump here over the hole. But I think this one's doable, and it looks like Jordi Pasquet had a go on this one as well. Green lines. This is going to be interesting, because these machines obviously have 125 cc, so going up this big rock on a small bike is interesting, and this is where you really want to use your power. I think there's another option with going here and jumping over the hole, where you can come into the step a little bit faster, and because here you need to go slow into the step and then need all the power of your engine to carry you up that rock. So there might be the 1 to 5 line might be over this rock and then land here and go this way. Interesting. We're gonna know on Sunday. So definitely not an easy ground to ride on. Loose rocks, very tricky. I crashed here before when I was walking, and that's why there's only this turn for red and blue, and the green lines stay here in the bottom and then come right across where I'm standing. Blue line will probably drop down here. Not so easy, don't underestimate this drop because the hill is steep, and I mean, where are you supposed to land here? So nice. We move down, and then there's one final step in the section for each class. Very tricky step for the red line. This one is high, and you want to hit that point here on top, because if you miss it you might slip to the left or to the right, and because the step here in the bottom is so close to the top one in this axis, on this axis, you can't go really fast. That means you will be on this edge here without any speed to forward movement. So you really need to hit the right spot to be able to ride down, otherwise you will slip or go backwards. Nice step. Move on. Look, and they're coming back down and using going over this step where almost everybody goes over. So this step is for the red line, the blue line, and the Trial E. That's a big step for an electric bike, but we're in France, so I'm sure they will know. And because France is the home of electric motion. And then we have the 1 to 5 line. Yeah, they are probably going to ride here or there, I think, through this gap here, and then going over this step. Not too difficult for them because they are really good. So there we have it. End of number 2 is over there. Let's see number 3. Here we are, number 3. So this one looks really good from here. Let's go into it. Yeah, these rocks, I don't think anybody will be bothered riding over them. Maybe, yeah, because everybody needs to, maybe the red line, yes, over here to get into that step, which is harder than it looks on camera probably, but I think it's, yeah, compared to the rest of the section, it's easy. So here we are, blue line, and the electric class goes here the more difficult way, I would say. And yeah, so the 1 to 5 class goes here, and then a nice turn over there. Then we come to a really nice bit, and I think we have to have a look from here to see how big that is. This is the red line here on the right side. 1 rock, 2 rocks, 3 rocks, and I think this will either be super very extra hard, or we might have observers that don't like non-stop and are really lenient in the observing, and the riders will stop and go again and stop and go again. Might be a mix, I don't know. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be an observer in times of non-stop trials, but that's not my decision, luckily. So 3 big rocks. We're gonna have a look at this in detail right now. Here we are in the middle of the line. Yeah, going up here will be no problem, but you see this is angled already, loose rocks, and yeah, I mean, this is the next step, but there's no line. Ideally, I think you would start from here, use this one as a kicker, try to arrive somewhere here and ride up it, and then you only hit the right line after the rock, which is like this wide. But I'm not sure if there's any other option. Maybe, no, don't think so. And after this one, wait, we're gonna go there after we had a look at the blue lines, and they come here from the bottom through the gap and up these big rock, and this rock is so uneven, rough, that you will need a lot of speed or not a lot, but enough speed to roll over all the little bumps and get your back wheel until here, where it's flat enough to go riding right up it again. Good thing is it's grippy. When this is going to be wet, yeah, it's going to be even more interesting. But the weather forecast says now that it's going to stay nice and dry with blue skies like we have now. So green line, and so the 125s and the E-Class goes around the rocks. And now let's have a look at that final step of the red line. So the line I've shown comes up here. You see there's a hole, so they will need to move over here and try to develop all the momentum for this nasty step. And it will probably look small from there, but look, when I'm standing here, I'm not the smallest person in the world, and this is loose, this is small and angled and negative actually, so you will need to jump from here to there and have enough balance to not just fall over. I might stay here all weekend. And when you are up here, yeah, look at this. That's nothing. That's not so nice to ride, I wanted to say. But yeah, it's the World Championship class and they're not here to play. So here we are after the first uphill of section number 3. We are back in the bottom. Red and blue lines have a big old step here. There is a very grippy rock in front, and if you hit it at the right spot, I think it's quite okay to ride this step. It stays big and it stays dangerous, but I think the guys are so good, so they're gonna make it happen. But then trial 125 and trial E goes over this rock. Interesting. No option to ride down there, you have to stay on the back wheel. And then trial 2 and red line come down here, and out of this stuff here, blue line can go down straight on, but the red line they have to turn actually and jump over. And what makes this tricky is that there's no space to turn on here. This is too steep to turn. This goes down, so if you jump from here, you will it will be very tough to go over there because you can't get that pop. So you want to jump from here, but going on here, you have only one chance to set off. You can't hop on this lip because it's too steep on both sides. Okay, maybe some riders can do it, but it is very difficult. So you want to get the right direction on your way up here, maybe make one jump and then go straight over onto this small rock, and then jump into this rock garden here. Moving on, the rest of the section is rather simple. Going through the rocks, the same for all lines. It's going to be hard for the green, for the 125 riders and the trial E, and then they come back down the rocks and go straight out. Let's see what number 4 has in store. Welcome to section number 4. So this one is like an indoor section built onto a hill. I mean, there are man-made or moved rocks, and they're on what would be a normal section for me. And starts with a big step for the red line. You can see it yourself. There's me as a scale, and blue line goes over here. I don't think this will be a big problem. Also for the greens, it's rather easy to ride, I would say, because it's on a hill, and yeah, I think they will make it happen. The red line comes from the side, and they either jump into a big hole here to go straight on the rock, or they will do a little side hop or turn on the back wheel to go over here and then jump into this field of rocks. Not very nice. Just to move on. Yeah, then it gets interesting. Here we are, right after this step where they are going to jump in, and yeah, because you will go on to this one here, not really controlled. You might jump a little bit too far, and this way you will actually lose run up for this interesting uphill, which is a really nice step. They might even go over this rock here, wall ride it, jump onto the other one to have a good angle, a good run up for the final step on top, and to make it around the tree, because the ground is so loose that you will need speed, momentum. So Green and blue lines go over here, which is actually tricky, I would say. But yeah, they're gonna make it happen, I'm quite sure. These rocks are grippy, and when there's grip, they ride everything. Corners like this, jumping from this rock into this pile of rocks is always very tricky. If you jump too far, if you are too fast, if you are too steep, too low, if your stump guard hits one of the rocks, it can kick you out of balance and make you lose 1 or 2 marks in a situation that is not very not very dangerous. That's what I like to see. Bits that are not dangerous but can cost you a mark really quick. So here we are, second part of the section. Yeah, I think it's doable for all the classes. Everybody goes over here. I mean, it's a closed point of the section. I like that they put 4 markers on each side. Then they go around, come back here. Blue and red jumps from here to here. Green line goes only over the big one, and then from here, yeah, well, Jaime Busto might give it a shot to jump it directly. I think the rest might go down here, because it already looks like there's been some cleaning done here on the ground to be able to ride from somewhere onto this one. Don't know, but I think if you jump it, it's a hit or miss, and if you ride it, you can save it on the bash plate maybe, but it's hard to imagine for me, because yeah, I'm quite far away from riding this. Then green line goes goes around here. Also nice. I'll have a look if some daredevils from the green line might jump this. No, I don't think so. I think they're gonna side hop down here, and then they are going to ride here and here to get out of section number 4. So I think in the blue line we will definitely see many people jumping straight over it, even though the riding is not too difficult, but this is so inviting. I think I would jump that if I could. These sections are very long and very difficult for everybody. There's no rest. Everywhere where there is space between the obstacles is small and loose rocks that can cost you a mark so quick. So they are difficult at every moment, and they are very long. So here we have it, the final step of section group 1. It's section number 4, and it's a big old undercut step. This might be the moment to set up, but the good thing is it goes slightly downhill before that big rock, so it will be even harder to lift that front wheel high enough. And yeah, I mean, you need to jump 1.40 meters before you can even think of going over this step, and then yeah, you only have to make it over this angled lip, so you can't really go on the bash plate without losing a mark, because you will fall over straight away. So you want to hit it on the back wheel and roll down. Looks like we have to go live from here with the GP class, because all these sections are so nice and so interesting to see if it's, yeah, how possible it is to ride them. We are going to look for the indoor style sections in the city now, and I see you in a bit. So section number 5, we do this quickly because first of all we don't want an hour full of section walk. Second, there are a lot of mosquitoes here. So starts here, red line goes over the big one, green and blue go around. I think this is doable, only the drop down is not nice, so you want to stay on the back wheel really. Going over this big blue rock, and green ones go on the side, and then we have this piece of art here. Really beautiful rock, but yeah, once again no room for your front wheel, and this run is really tricky because there are big, yeah, grooves in the rock, so it can kick you off the rock a little bit if you hit it wrong. And then yeah, look at the landing zone. Not easy. Green line goes over here, goes then over the small one, or yeah, and the electric class goes over the bigger obstacle, which is going to be tricky, but yeah, there are good riders on the bikes, and the bike have improved a lot since last year. So red line drops down here, goes over this one from the side, and then I think they're gonna go down there and go here out of section number 5. Let's see number 6. I like what I see here in number 6. Bit more natural field of rocks, and also these 2 steps are not too high but tricky for all classes, but the 1 to 5 they go around. A pity actually, when you ask me, because I know the boys could definitely ride over these rocks, but yeah, sometimes they want to make a difference. There's a piece of tape here. I don't know where this is going to be. Probably here in the end, and that way all the classes have to go through the rocks over this bigger step in the end. Then we have a nice triple step here for all the classes. Finally a real obstacle for the 1 to 5s, to be honest. Red line goes over here. This might be slippy and you want to land on this. Looks like I can push it down with my hands, but oh, there might be some improvements necessary here on these parts of the section, because yeah, when you come from this side and you land here on the front wheel, you don't want this rock to roll down with you into the water. Okay, it's a nice step, but it's going to be doable for them, I think. They're used to big steps, and this one is straight. You might be able to use your sump plate here, even though it's going to be close. Your front wheel is probably going to hit here, and you don't want it to roll backwards. You want it to roll forward for sure, a little bit, to be able to roll on to the next one. So red goes over the big step obviously, and blue and green are going over this undercut rock here. Nice step, undercut step in my opinion. Basic technique can be used here. And jumping down here, green wiggle through here. The blue line has to jump from this nice takeoff onto the big rock. Let's see if there's space for the front wheel. I think you can just land here with 2 wheels, but if you want to make sure, you stay on the back wheel and go out over the rock through the ending. But talk about this red step for a second. I think one of the most difficult bits is that there's no real point to hit this step. It's angled to here, it's angled to there. Then also the top is not straight, it goes away a little bit, so I think you want to hit it here, but look how high this is to lift your back wheel. So I'm sure this step at the end of the section will cost some 5s, and that's the thing with these indoor sections, it's most of the times clean or 5, and that's what makes these sections very important. Number 7. I just had a look behind this step. It's not possible to roll down here as far as I would say. There's a chance to ride it from here. It really depends where the tape is going to be here to get the run up for this step. Green and blue goes round. I think this middle part won't be a problem for anybody because they're all good riders obviously. We have another big jump here for the red line. Traditionally no space for the front wheel, so you have to stay on the back wheel, and yeah, I mean, look at the size of this rock. Going up will be a problem, but I think going down will be even more interesting. Tricky one for the blue line, for the Trial 2 lines. Also for the greens, this is not completely easy. Well, the sections here are rather easy to anticipate, it's not so tricky, not so technical, because there's good straight run-ups for all the steps, and it's obstacles that are normally only one rock. They're not longer than your bike, so you don't really have to hit the perfect line. That's what makes these sections a little bit less tricky, but big obviously. For the red, it's a big undercut step, which is I think harder than it will look on camera, paired with a nice end bit, and this one is actually an obstacle that is longer than your bike for once. And the green line as well, nice uphill. I don't think this will be a big problem for them, but the blue and the red ending will definitely be interesting. So this is the last bit of section number 7. To be honest, it's way more tricky than it looked from the bottom, because this part of grass here is very, very steep. So look, when I stand here, if you are here in the bottom with your back wheel, I don't think anybody can make it up the last step. I mean, I'm happy to see that, but I think you have to carry your back wheel over and keep the momentum up there, and still it's going to be super difficult. This one is big and undercut for the red line. The blues come over these rocks, so they might be able to take a bit more speed, but I don't know. I personally don't know how to carry speed through this. I would always arrive here very slow, and then yeah, it's steep. It's very steep, very narrow, so this is for sure the trickiest bit of the second half of the trial I've seen so far for the blue line, and for the red line, very tricky bit as well. Section number 8. Green line goes over this hole, and then in front of the rocks, blue and red go onto the big one. Almost, yeah, right after the rock there's the tape, so you really need to go over here, and this hole is too big to roll through it, so yeah, you'll need to land very precise here to be in the right direction for this. The blue line goes straight over the point, over the rock, and the red line, actually this will be a good photo opportunity for me when they turn on the back wheel to go here in front of the green gate. That is here. So this is the greens, and they go up there and turn here in front of the go over this double step. If they watched my double step tutorial, this will be no problem at all, but it's very tricky. Big step here in the bottom, and then a very large rock to jump onto. Good thing is the distance here is rather nice, so stepwise this will be okay, but it's definitely too steep to roll down here, so they will have to stay on the back wheel, which gives things a whole different twist, because it is high. Look, it's 2 meters more or less, and yeah, when you are on the bike it's going to be 3 meters, and this is a big drop. Section numero 9. Yeah, same character. We are on the same spot as number 8, and back there you can see number 10 actually. We're going over a rock. Here we have the next big obstacle for the red line. I mean, I have to talk about this first because it's the first thing that everybody is going to see. Yeah, I look at this rock from the side and imagine that you have to go onto the back wheel onto this rock. It's very high, it's very dangerous, you'll need to be confident, and yeah, going down here, blue line goes over this one. I don't think this is going to be a problem for anybody. Green line goes over here, and here's a rock where you can roll down and then go out of the section. And don't forget, there are only 10 sections in this race. It's 10 sections, 2 laps. So I think, yeah, you have to make every section count as always, and there are not so many chances to like make up some points once you lost them. We have it. That's what we all know from the videos. Back wheel sections, there's no space for the front wheel on these first rocks for the red line. The blues can go down, the greens ride round. There's not so much space up here. This is slightly angled. Luckily it's grippy, but you'll need a lot of lift to get onto the back wheel on this one, and back wheel is the only chance to clean this rock. The next big rock, third gear, wide open, and then we have another huge step for the red line, and here we have a tricky situation for the greens, I think. So going up here, staying on the back wheel will be the nicest way to ride it, yeah, but it is still difficult, and when you jump it on the back wheel you will actually land here and your thumb plate might hit the rock and kick you to the side. So there are many options to ride this, but none of the options is really nice. I'm sure the top guys will make it look easy, but so there you have it. This was your section walk for the 4th round of the TrialGP here in France, in Cahors. what I would say is the first 4 sections are definitely the hardest ones, the trickiest ones, but in the second part of the trial, that is here in the man-made obstacles, it's either clean or 5, so they can cost a lot of marks, they can do big damage, or you can ride clean. I don't think there will be so many single marks in this section, so even though the first 4 are the hardest ones to clean, the last ones might be the deciding ones, because some stupid 5s are very costly here. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting trial, very different to the ones we had before, and I'm looking forward to see it. Don't forget, you can follow the trial tomorrow here on this page on jitsie.com on the live videos with Leire and me, and you can follow it on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure to subscribe and enjoy the trial.